Everyone, I want to welcome my colleagues here with the Board of Education for joining us. I want to welcome and thank Mr. Dade. Not only is this your first meeting in our board chamber, but you have the honor of serving as our acting superintendent this evening. So thank you for that, and of course all of our staff that have joined us. We are streaming the audio of this meeting, so folks can have access to it online. And I will ask for a attendance call, if you will, of the board members, but I will note that board member Thorian Ojeda is participating virtually, so she is participating in the meeting. But please, Ms. Medina, will you go ahead and do a roll call attendance?
Present.
Present.
I can't hear anything.
All right. We heard her. She is present. Great.
Thank you.
Present.
Thank you for that. We'll begin this meeting as we do every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Mr. Dade if you will please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation, God, and
Thank you for that, Mr. Dade. Our first order of business today is the adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting. At this time, we do have some recommended amendments to tonight's agenda. Those amendments are as follow. The addition of 4 classified coaches to item 7.4. This is 7.4, our personnel public employee appointment item. 2 head junior varsity volleyball coaches, girls, head varsity football boys 2, previously there was 1, and a head varsity tennis girls coach. Addition of 3 volunteer coaches, band, co-ed, and football boys 3, previously had 1, so there were 2 added. Those are the recommended amendments to the agenda for today. At this time, I'd ask if there's a motion to adopt the recommended changes to the agenda.
So, second.
All right, got a motion from Board Member Haro and a second by Board Member Ibarra. I will ask Ms. Medina for a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Great, thank you for that. That is
I think she means me, yes.
Okay, and that was a yes. Just a note for the board, since we are streaming but also have a board member that's virtual, we will have to do a roll call vote for all items. So even though we're back in the boardroom, we'll need to follow protocol on the roll call vote. Thank you for that. That item is approved unanimously by all board members. So that takes us to item 2.1, which is our public comment. So at this time, we will ask if there's any public comment cards submitted for tonight's meeting. Ms. Medina, any public comment cards? All right, no public comment cards submitted for this evening's meeting. That takes us to our action session items for tonight. We have action items 3.1 through 3.38 on the agenda for this evening. I'll ask at this time if there's any board members that wish to pull items for separate consideration, questions, or discussion. 3.19. 3.19, excellent, okay. Any other items to be pulled? All right, hearing none, what I would ask for then is a motion to approve our action session items 3.1 through 3.38 with the exception of item 3.19, which has been requested to be pulled. Is there a motion? I have a motion by Board Member Fuentes. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Sandoval. Second by Board Member Sandoval. All right, any further questions or discussion? If not, I will ask Ms. Medina for a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Say yes.
Yes, I heard yes.
And the action session items are approved unanimously. That takes us to item 3.19, which was pulled for separate consideration. Is there a motion to approve item 3.19? I'll go ahead and make that motion. Is there a second? Ms. Sandoval? Okay, I have a second by Board Member Sandoval. We have a first and a second for item 3.19. Ms. Haro, questions?
I have quite a few questions about this. How did we come to ordering these? I spoke to Mr. Day today, and he said that by the end of the school year, we want to have one in every classroom, which is admirable. But my question is, how do we come to the point of picking this particular type of display, whatever you want to call it, for our teachers? Did we do a poll of teachers of what they wanted? What did we do? Because I visit a lot of classrooms, and we have purchased Promethean boards before. And I can tell you, in more classrooms than not, those Promethean boards are being used to hang sweaters on and coats on. They're not using them. I can name you quite a few teachers who they won't use them. They don't want to do it. So this is a big expense if we're going to put one in every classroom. And granted, I know the ones we have are older models or whatever, but same thing, they went through the training, they did all that, and they're not using them. So I don't know, I'm not saying we don't buy them all, but why did we pick this particular item? Why didn't we pick something else that, why didn't we ask the teachers what they needed, what they thought would be best useful? Because if we already have so many of them in classrooms and nobody's using them, I just think it's a waste of money. I think it could be used elsewhere. So I didn't get a response to my question, so I don't know.
Mr. Dade, is there a member of staff that can speak to that question?
Dr. Hyder or Dr. Minnie?
Apologies, sorry, Dr. Hyder. I think because we're streaming, should we have a microphone just so folks that are listening online can hear you? That's all, Dr. Hyder. Just want to make sure that folks at home can hear.
And some of these information that I'm sharing is based on my recollection because I'm not involved, so I apologize in advance if I misstate anything. So if I remember correctly, about 2 or 3 years ago, Mr. Pinnell looked at a variety of different options, and this was the best option in terms of technology and how teacher usage. And so that's why this was what he was recommending sites to purchase, because there was another site that purchased something different and that didn't integrate well with the technology, so that this was the recommended option. And I think before the purchase was made, sites were making individual purchase, so they were responsible for the training and maybe the implementation was not done well. But I think the plan now is this will be a district-wide thing, so there will be a proper training of teachers for this. And in terms of taking teacher input, there was a survey sent out to all teachers, and the question was asked, are you interested? And more than a significant majority responded that they would like to start using this as a tool. And I think things are a little different now than before because this pandemic, of all the bad things that have happened through this pandemic, one good thing is that our teachers were forced to adapt a lot of variety of technology, and they are more willing to do different things using the technology. Actually, I visited some classrooms in Zimmerman that actually have this, and one teacher, and I can name her, Georgette Villarreal, she was using it, and I've seen her use it. So there are teachers who are using it, but I agree, not all teachers have been properly trained, but I think the plan is moving forward there will be a district-wide proper training so that teachers can implement it properly.
And thank you for that. If I could further ask, and I think Board Member Haro raised a good point in the sense that, training is going to be important, right? Technology is wonderful, but only if it's utilized to its potential. And I think it's great that we offer a training. However, reality is people learn at different pace. Some people will pick it up in one big training in one big room. Others may need a lot of follow-up, maybe some hands-on. So if we could get some information on how we're going to make available additional training, hands-on support for teachers who may need some extra support, because I can attest that myself, sometimes it takes me a little bit to get used to the technology, and that's okay, because we are making a large investment in this. And again, it's only worthwhile if the teachers have the knowledge, the skill, and the ability to use it. So if Mr. Dade, perhaps in board correspondence and in follow-up to Board Member Haro's questions and her email question, can we get some more detail on how we're going to provide support for our teachers so that they can use this?
Absolutely, yes.
Brandon, can we also know what schools are going to get the Promethean boards?
Okay.
High schools, middle schools, elementary schools? Because if I'm correct, 625 is what we're ordering, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so when they get delivered, also, will they put them together, the people that are delivering them?
Yes,
Or will
so,
they have-
yeah, there's a process to put them together, and IT touches them before they go out to the classrooms.
And one more question. We're not getting them at the same time, are we?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions, comments from board members?
No, and I was just
Dr.
going to
Mooney,
say,
please.
Board President Flores and to the board, that our CPSs, we have EdTech CPSs that are also going through training actually tomorrow on the uses of the Promethean boards. So they'll also be able to support our teachers in the means in which you're saying. So having one training, but then the ongoing support with our EdTech CPSs.
Thank you for that, Dr. Mooney. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments from board members?
Are there any additional support or services that Promethean company is going to provide our district once they sell this to us?
So, great question. Typically, the companies will provide training to our IT staff, and then they will render that training, or they can come out and provide that training as well. So I'll look into that and add that to the board correspondence in regards to what training can they provide after we purchase the Promethean boards.
And is the training they will provide, is it inclusive in the amount that we're paying? Or we're going to pay additional for that? I think that's an important thing to take a look at, particularly because of the price tag. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ibarra. Any other questions or comments from board members?
I just want to say that the last time we purchased Promethean boards, teachers who received them were trained. And unless we keep with like they said, unless we keep up with this training, the same thing's going to happen to these that happened to those. It's a lot of money to spend for, I don't think that every classroom needs them, but that's my personal opinion, because I think that they're not going to get used. But it's a lot of money to spend when there's other things we could be spending it on that could be just as helpful, so. Okay.
And if I may, is that, Board Member Haro, because you think the teachers simply don't enjoy using them, or is it a matter of it's new technology, something they're not used to? Is it, if it's not a question of sort of ability or skill or training, is it just?
You know what, one of the teachers that I have in my head, some of them are older teachers who, you can't teach a little dog new tricks, and they don't want to learn. So you're going to put another Promethean board in a classroom that already has a Promethean board, and they're not going to use it. It doesn't matter how much training you give them, okay? Georgette, she used it during summer school because I talked to her, and she loved it. She's a newer teacher, so she's got that drive, and she wants to learn everything there is to learn about technology. Those are the people who it's good for. It's not going to be good for teachers who are set in their ways and this is how I teach, and I don't, that type of thing. It's just my personal opinion. So I just, like I said, I know some of the teachers are going to have 2 in their classroom, because, you know, and it'll just be something in the classroom.
Board President
Yes.
Flores.
Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
again, Board Member Ibarra, please, and then Board Member Fuentes.
As we were going through the process of determining whether we were going to purchase and take a look at these items, did we as a district approach the union ACE to get some feedback from them in any way about how they felt about it?
I'll defer, and if you guys, typically we do include our union leadership in these type of purposes, especially for instruction. And so my understanding, I just started with you guys, but my understanding is we were looking at providing technological tools to drive instruction for whether, with COVID-related incidents, because we could have an outbreak later on and have to revert back to some virtual platform of teaching. But ultimately, there was a lot of discussion about if we had to go back, what can we use, what tools can we use? And we do have teachers like Georgette who are excited about having tools at their fingertips to utilize. So it's my understanding that there has been some dialogue, but if you guys want to add anything, please feel free.
And were they in favor of it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Dr. Hyder.
Sorry about that. So as I had mentioned, like before school was out, a survey was sent out to all teachers, and they were asked specifically, would you be interested in using, and the majority of them, the response was they're ready to use a tool like that. So that's what I think one of the bases of the decision was, because a majority of the teachers responded to the survey in a positive manner. I think that was one of the big factor to make that decision.
Dr. Hyder, what do you consider a majority of the teachers?
I don't know the exact number, but it was more than 50% who said, I want to start using it right now. I think there were like, the way the question was stated, that are you ready to use a tool like Promethean board for your instruction? And more than 50% responded that they're ready to use it right now.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hyder. Board Member Fuentes, did you have a question?
Well, just a comment.
Sure.
Since we're still kind of discussing this, I recommend that we table this and look at it. I'd like to look at the survey also that the teacher, just to see what surveys that were returned. This investment is good. I'm not saying it's, but the discussion we're having, that's my comment.
Sure.
I would agree to that if there's not like, we don't have to do it right this minute. Why don't we get more information and bring it back to the next meeting? I mean,
Certainly, and we can do that. One thing to consider, I imagine, is our next meeting isn't until,
August.
so it'll be after school starts, so we won't have them purchased in advance. Now, again, we might not lose a whole lot of time, that can still be done. So I think that's a possibility, but I'll defer to Mr. Dade or others that may know if there's a deadline with respect to the
Because
proposal.
there is some out there, right? Some Promethean.
We do
boards
have
for
some
you.
Promethean boards in.
And if, we could start training them, if, the teachers can start getting trained, that's no problem, because eventually, we are gonna get them. But for now, because of the discussion we're having right now, I think it's good for us to get more information about it, and, but the training can continue. We don't wanna hold that back. If teachers want it, they can be trained until we decide what we're gonna do.
And I will say, whatever we decide, the board decides, is definitely possible. To keep in mind with COVID-related situations, everything's on delay or back order. So, if teachers are excited, they might not get it until November or December. And so that's why we wanted to order smaller portions of them now. Now, one thing to consider is we are ordering a small portion of them now, and we're going to do it in increments. And so,
What's a small portion?
so I think it's 600 and something.
625.
That's the first wave.
So the one that you guys presented to us in our documents
Yes.
is the first wave?
That's the first.
625.
Yes. And so there's more to be ordered, but if we order this 600 and something, and we're not happy with the results, we can pause and look at some other alternatives, which is wise to do with technology.
So the 625 obviously is not for every classroom in our district. This would be an allotment, particularly for those that are eager to use it and to make it available to use it at the beginning of the year. There will still need to be more ordered to fill every other classroom. Okay, so this would not, I mean, 625, we have a very large district, so this is only a percentage of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add a comment just with respect to, and I appreciate everybody's opinion, I'll share mine, because this is an interesting question that the Promethean board technology is one example, but this question comes along regularly about what happens when you have new pedagogies, new styles, new technologies you introduce in the classroom, and teachers don't want to adopt it. I mean, this is not the first time we've wrestled with this question in education, folks, right? Like, you used to have the overhead projector, right? We remember that, the slides, and then we evolved to the next level and the next level. We're always going to have this issue. What's interesting as a parent, and while I respect teachers, but if I have a student in a class, or there's a student in one classroom that is being exposed to the cutting edge technology and amazing things are happening, and my kid's in the classroom next door, and he doesn't get any of it because that teacher just doesn't want to, you know what, I got a couple of years left, I don't want to learn it, I'm just not there. Well, wait a minute, my kid's losing out. My kid is losing out. Well, how is that equitable, right? It's a question of equity, and it's hard. Listen, I'm learning things. I've struggled through the pandemic with WebEx and Zoom, and I consider myself relatively young, but it's a challenge to push ourselves when it comes to technology. So I respect and I certainly understand the difficulty that folks have with adopting new technologies. But in this day and age, where our children are already advancing us on all of this stuff, we have to be able to push our teachers so that they can continue to push our students on technology. So, my opinion, but if the excuse is simply, I just don't want to learn something new, well then, that rubs against our ethos of equity and pushing our curriculum, our rigor, our teachers to be at the cutting edge, to give our students the very best. So I understand it's a difficult question, but it's not a new question for us, and it'll be an eternal question as technology advances in the classroom. So, but we can do whatever the board, majority of the board's pleasure is. If there's a desire to hold off on this particular purchase till the next meeting, that can be done. If there's a consensus, we can do that. If there's not a consensus, we can certainly take a vote to table, so majority. Or if there's an interest in moving forward, we can pursue that. There is a motion on the table to approve, but I think, if there's a consensus or some interest in one way or the other, those are our two options.
Well, I had a.
Board Member Adelgin, yes, please.
Okay, now, I have a question. I'm looking at the invoice. For 625, the cost is $2,875 for one. So if we're purchasing 625 for this price tag, the total invoice, that's not the total then. We're going to be purchasing more?
Yes.
More than 625 if this is
Yes.
the first wave?
Yes.
Okay. That answers my question. So I would be in favor of waiting.
Okay. Is there, and we can certainly ask, if there's consensus to table the item to the next meeting, we can certainly do that. Is there a consensus to do that? Board members? Yes. Board Member Sandoval? Okay. And so since I made the motion, what I'll do is I'll rescind the motion for approval, and then at this time, we'll ask that this be tabled to the next meeting for further discussion.
Okay.
And more information, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dave, in the more information, if we could find out how many classrooms currently have the new Promethean boards, like what we're going to order, and also how many classrooms have the old ones sitting around.
Okay.
I know my daughter taught in this district, and I know her classrooms, she's not there anymore, but in that classroom, there is still the old Promethean board in there. So, I'm curious to see how many old ones we have sitting around. So,
Absolutely.
all right,
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, so that item will be tabled, so that concludes our action session items for today. That takes us to administrative reports. Are there any questions with respect to items 4.1 through 4.4 under our administrative reports? Any questions for staff? No? All right, that takes us to, we do not have a facilities update for this evening, nor do we have an ACE update for this evening. Do we have a CSEA update? I don't see a representative here today, so no update for CSEA, and no MAC update either. All right, we're moving right along. That takes us to our ROP update, so I'll ask Board Member Ibarra or Board Member Haro, if you'd please like to provide us with an update.
We did have a meeting earlier in the month, and the meeting was, once again, very, how should I say, exciting to the point that they discussed all the preparations that were going on for this new school year. They were very thankful for the association that they have with all three school districts and the cooperation that we provide toward ROP as well. And for all these years that we've done that. It wasn't a very long meeting. Usually they don't go too long. And I'm trying to remember, I did have some notes, but I forgot them, to be honest with you. I don't know if you have anything, Pat, that you want to add, or?
No, it wasn't a very long.
No, it wasn't a very long meeting. It's just that they're looking forward to another year of association with our school district. Some of the highlights were the career orientation that they'll be having at our middle schools, which I think is a really good idea to help promote our middle school students toward ROP and thinking beyond just, academics, but how academics can help provide them opportunities in their future. And I think that that's wonderful, something that we've pushed here to see happen for a couple years now, and we've been able to make that happen. So that's about it, really. So,
Great, thank you. Thank you, Board Member Ibarra. All right, next item on our agenda is our superintendent's communique. So I will ask our acting superintendent, Mr. Day, to please present the communique.
Thank you. Thank you, Board President Flores, board members, and all those listening in our community. Tonight's a very brief superintendent communique. We'll have it posted or projected there. And so, next slide. So, as mentioned in our previous BC, we'd like to propose dates to the board to conduct the board self-evaluations. The timeline and the materials were shared with you prior to this meeting. And we have 3 potential dates that we'd like to propose to you and select a date this evening if possible, which will be August 24th, 25th, or 26th. And I'll pause there. Dick Bray will be there to assist with facilitating the board evaluations, self-evaluations, but we just need to let him know what date we're most comfortable with.
All right, so we have 3 options on the table, folks, for that last week of August, the last full week of August, the 24th, which is Tuesday, the 25th, Wednesday, and the 26th, Thursday.
My choice would be the 24th, and the reason because 26th is Colton High School's back-to-school night.
Yeah, we have a couple of back-to-school nights.
25th is 3 back-to-school nights, so
Yeah, 24th looks like.
24th would be the best.
Tuesday, the 24th. And just a quick question, will that be, what location are we looking at to hold that meeting? That'll be here, okay. All right, that'll be here.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you very
we'll,
much.
Tuesday, August 24th, our special board meeting.
Next slide, please. All right, so the next one is also mentioned in the previous BC, was a desire to schedule a bridge committee meeting with the Bloomington MAC members. And so the last bridge meeting was scheduled for May 2020, and we had board members Fuentes, Thorin Ojeda, and Hara who participated. And so just basically wanted to request to see what the desire is to schedule a meeting in the future and which board members would be interested in participating. And also, would you like to have this meeting in person or virtually if we are interested in scheduling a bridge meeting with MAC?
All right, well, let's start with the latter question, which is in person or virtually. And we have, our board members are here, so we'll defer to that. And I want to, and Board Member Thorin Ojeda is online as well, so I want to make sure she's able to
I'm
chime in.
asking her right now.
Okay,
She served on it last time.
okay.
She said yes.
Yes, okay. That's wonderful. So in person, and then we're looking for a date, is that?
Yes, we can, and we can go back and.
I think probably emailing the three members, because we'll have to communicate also with the MAC to see
Yes.
what dates they have available.
Exactly.
as well.
So-
We'll make sure that the Bloomington MAC, and I see the MAC member, Mr. Grossich, thank you for joining us this evening, that we'll make sure we get some dates over to the Bloomington MAC so that they can have scheduled a meeting. Okay,
Awesome.
we'll do that.
Thank you very much. And our last slide, once again, is the hashtag CJUSD cares. And I'll just touch on our grand reopening. So there's 19 days until students return. And so it's moving pretty quickly, and we're extremely excited to welcome our students back. There's a lot of work behind the scenes going into preparing our school sites, preparing for the grand reopening. We have a lot of staff who are truly excited. I was at lunch the other day and I haven't met everybody in person, but a teacher was coming out of the same restaurant and said, thank you. We're ready, I'm ready to come back and see my students and be back to normal. And so we're excited to hear that type of feedback. But once again, we'd like to thank everybody who's working behind the scenes, and we hope that everybody had a great and enjoyable summer break, and just can't wait to open the 2021-22 school year and see all the smiling faces of our students. As you've heard in the past, our small cohorts, our summer school, really positive feedback from students and parents and staff in regards to welcoming students back. As you also heard through athletics, the students were extremely excited and they're continuing their strength and conditioning and competition. And once again, it's just really that momentum is carrying to bring everybody back full and in person. And it's just good to hear the positive feedback about that. And I do have a funny quick story for you. During summer school, we were standing outside of one of our summer school sites, and I noticed a mom and her child were a little bit nervous, before they went in, and the student finally went in and waved, and mom just turned around and started speed walking. And I said, ma'am, have a great day. And she turns and looks at me and she says, I will, And so she was extremely excited to drop her little one off and probably get a break. So definitely, it was just something I wanted to share real quickly. But ultimately, we're excited, and with all the new information that's coming out, definitely we will have a full return, and it will include at least less restrictions than what we've been accompanied to prior to August 4th. So thank you for your time, and that concludes my communique.
Thank you, Mr. Dade, we appreciate that. Oh, sure.
I know there's a lot of new information that has been coming down from the state. And I know that our community is going to have tons and tons of questions, and so I understand and I have seen and I appreciate all the work that is going on, that has been going to prepare. And what, we're hoping is that we provide all the information, a lot of transparency, so that parents know exactly what to expect the day they walk in instead of, kind of guessing. So,
Yes.
But thank you for all the work that is going into planning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez. All right, that takes us to board member comments. So tonight we'll begin with Board Member Ibarra.
Thank you, Dan. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Dade for our conversation earlier and answering some of those same questions that I think everybody's asking as far as masking and preparation for the schools and so forth. I really, really appreciated that. Also, it's really good to see everybody. I think it feels really good to be out. And it's been a while since I've had opportunity outside of virtually to take a look and actually be with, the board members here. And it feels really good. So hopefully keep our fingers crossed that it continues to happen. I've also been asked to advertise an event that's coming up for Cone High School. On September 4th, Cone High School will be hosting its annual Swarm, which is a cross-country competition, which usually invites anywhere between 16 to 20 local high school teams to participate. So we're looking at times 600 to 800 students to participate. And I think it's a really good opening to our cross-country season. Typically, all three high schools from our district participate, Bloomington, Grand Terrace, and Colton, so looking forward to that as well. As I was talking to those who were organizing it, I've talked with Mr. Dade. One of the things that they've shared with me was the fact that we've never had security support that event. And I kind of found it very interesting, I'll put it that way, that when we have those type of numbers of athletes in one area, that we're not representing any by security in any way. So Mr. Dade told me he would look into assisting with that. And I think that that's going to be something that, you know, I think it would be good, not only for Cone High School, but we also represent the other two high schools as well. So I think that that would be a good thing to provide them help with that. And hopefully, I know that most of us are back to work already, but hopefully everyone gets an opportunity to take some time off before we get started in a few weeks and so forth. So hopefully if you do take some time off, you enjoy it, have fun with your families, and enjoy. So I look forward to the school season opening and us getting just right down to business. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, do we have her on the line?
Hi, yes, thank you. I want to ask, when they give the report on Promethean boards, what I heard Dr. Hyder say was he thinks training is included in that. And I'd like to know how much training each staff is supposed to be given and what kind of follow-up there will be for the follow-up. And I'd also like to know the designation for those 625 Promethean boards, what level they're going to, how many elementary, how many middle, and how many high schools. Yeah, I think that's really important to know where they are at, you know, over $3,000 a piece. That's a lot of money, and I'd just like to know where we're focusing most of that to start with. High school, middle school, elementary. I totally agree with you, Dan. I know in my experience it was tough for veteran teachers, but with proper training, with a good staff, and with collaboration, the veterans don't feel like we're not terrible. When they feel comfortable with their staff members, they're not afraid to do it. It's hard at first, but I don't think there's any teacher out there that refuses to use something like that. And in the right atmosphere and environment of the school, with collaboration, I think we can really make these move on forward. But at that kind of price for each one, I'd still like to make sure that we've made provisions on what we're going to do, how we're going to implement that entire training, how we're going to move that out. So at each level, and how that's going to be done, when it's going to be done. Is it voluntary, or is it going to be required during staff meeting time, or what? It's a lot of money to spend if we're not going to train properly. I totally agree. That's my comments tonight. Thank you.
Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, thank you for that. And I have to apologize. Here in the boardroom it was difficult to hear you. I'm hoping the feed was better, but we're going to need to work on the audio and the technology to make sure that Board Member Thoreen Ojeda can be heard here in the boardroom. So I apologize that for Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, but thank you for your comments. Next is Board Member Adagin.
Yes, I just want to welcome Derek Garcia to his first board meeting, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Welcome to Colton. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Adagin. Board Member Haro.
Well, it's been a long time coming, being in this room again, huh? Wow, it's pretty wild. At least I didn't cry this time, because I know when I walked up at Colton High School for our first graduation, I hadn't seen anybody from the district in over a year, and the first people I saw was Katie and Jackie, and I just started crying when I saw them, because it was like, you know, it was really emotional, because We hadn't all been together in over a year, so it's good to be here in the boardroom, and I hope it continues to be the norm. I just have some comments. I know that we are still in a pandemic, and we are still having problems, but I'm a little disappointed that this year, you know, we're doing so much to return kids to school and make it a celebration, but we didn't do a management retreat this year, and we have so many new managers this year that you know, we could have still done it virtually. We could have still had that motivational speaker virtually. And I hope we're still going to do something. What are you going to be? Are we still doing it? I mean,
Yes, we do have a management retreat
because
scheduled.
they're already back. You know, y'all are working, and the principals are all working, and so I would hope we're going to still do something for them. Do we know when we're going to do it?
Next week, on, let's see here, the 20, so it's scheduled for next week, our management retreat, and it will be virtual. And I'll get 22nd, yes.
Have it on the 22nd listed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard that, yeah. Thank you, Ms. Thorne Ojeda, yes. So the 22nd.
Okay. And what are we doing for the rest of our staff as far as welcoming them back?
So we have.
I don't mean a T-shirt and a bottle. I mean, you know, a bottle for the water. I mean, what are we doing for staff?
Right, so it's my understanding that each site has their own grand reopening or welcome back activities. We're doing a district-wide welcome back, but each site does their own welcome back activities for their staff.
And I guess I'll talk to the sites, because I'm not hearing anything happening, so I guess I'll talk to the sites. My last comment this evening is I would like to get, as quickly as possible, because we're starting school in what, a couple of weeks, a list of all the sites that have been completed as far as cleaned, disinfected, everything that needed to be done. Because I'm hearing some not favorable things. And so I would really like to see what exactly is done. And I'd also like to know who has gone out there to verify that these things that they're saying are getting done are done. And so I would really like for the board to receive that list of items. My comment this evening, or my quote, is the 3 most important school supplies for the new school year: patience, flexibility, and grace. Although not been on the board as long as Mr. Ibarra, this is my 13th, 14th year on the board. And we've had a lot of challenges. You know, we have been I know that Mr. Ibarra and I have been on here the longest, and I know for my 14 years, and you even longer, we have both been through a lot of challenges over the years. But this has definitely been the toughest. And I know that this district tried to get through it with grace and do the right things. And like I said, we didn't do everything right. We didn't do everything wrong. And so I just want to thank our staff for everything that they did to get us through and continue to do to get us through, because it's not over yet. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Board Member Haro. Board Member Fuentes.
Thank you, Board Member, thank you, Board President Flores. Just wanted to say thank you to those that are listening. I know that this is, the audio is being put out there for everyone to listen. For those that were brave enough to come in, thank you for being here today. Dr. Mooney, Gary Grosich, thank you for coming out. Mr. Syed, thank you for being here today, and everybody out there. I see Katie here and everyone, so welcome everyone for being out here this evening, and to my board members too. Just wanted to let everybody know that I'm excited. I'm excited that we're coming back to school, and things are getting ready. I'm hoping that we're 100%. The day we open our doors, that we're 100%, and that our children and our families are ready to come in and enjoy school and get to see their friends, get to see their teachers, and then even colleagues get to see each other and have that time and to say, hey man, we made it, we did it, and we won. And I think that's the key, that today, just being here today is phenomenal. Be sitting here and looking at each other and not looking at each other virtually on a screen in a little box, and getting to see, oh look man, he has that picture in the background, oh he has that in the back, oh I'm just kidding, but you know something, it was fun to do that, but I think it's time for us to come back. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited in many ways that we are opening our schools, and for those people out there, you know, the question about the mask has come up a lot, and we're not doing it because we want to do it. It's a CDC compliance thing that we have to do, that all schools have to wear masks. All students have to wear masks when we're in the classrooms. So, you know, if it was up to me, we wouldn't have a mask, but you know, something we have to follow regulations. And for those that are asking about the masks, it is a regulated CDC compliance that we have to follow. And sooner or later, I know, hopefully as things go on, everybody starts getting vaccinated, we will, hopefully CDC will change those rules, and we might not have to wear masks anymore. But we need to be safe. We need to continue to be safe out there. The safety of our kids, the safety of our staff is number one. That's the priority of everyone in our schools, everyone in each campus, at our district office, in the boardrooms, anywhere we're at. Safety is number one, and the well-being of everyone. So just wanted to share that real quick. And just wanted to say have a great summer. Continue to have fun. Enjoy your time. Take that much time that you need. We still have a few weeks till we start school. Enjoy it. Enjoy it with your family. I sure am. I'm taking vacation, so I'm going to be leaving here soon. And thank you again for everyone that's here. And also I wanted to shout out to our safety. They've been out there. I've seen our patrol guys out there, all our safety. I see John Sachs in the house here also. And I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of those men and women that are out there watching our campuses, keeping an eye, making sure that our schools are safe from any type of negative impacts that happen in our schools. And during summer school, I know they were out there with the kids too, so I did get to visit some of the schools that were having summer school. My daughter actually had summer school. She's in high school. She had summer school virtually, and she did very well, so I'm excited about that. I know many kids did very well virtually too. Thank you, Dr. Mooney, Dr. Sider, for all the great work that you guys are doing. I appreciate you guys very much. And once again, shout out to the safety, and thank you. And to all the teachers, thank you, and get some rest, and we'll see you in August. Have a great one.
Thank you, Board Member Fuentes. Board Member Sandoval.
I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming back, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Board President.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'll simply add, first of all, I want to thank all of our staff that helped make today's meeting possible. This was a great team effort. There was a walkthrough to prepare the space. As you can tell, there's some changes, modifications to the space for distancing, hand sanitizing, allowing people to have that safe space but still participate here in person. So much like what we'll see in our schools, some modifications, but at the end of the day, we're here together, and that's going to be the most important thing. I am one of those parents that's really excited to have their kids go back to school for lots of reasons. Having all three of them home all year was a challenge. It was wonderful, but a challenge. But I can assure you my wife is more than happy. She'll probably be the first one lined up when the gates open to get them in. So, but we're excited, and all joking aside, for our little one, she'll be entering first grade. She spent her entire kindergarten year in distance learning, so this will really be her first time on campus with her big brothers. And that's a special moment. So we're looking forward to that. And I want to thank all the staff, teachers, everyone in the district that is working hard already and continuing to work hard to make that day possible for all of our students. It'll be a joyous day, maybe some bumps in the road, but overall a joyous day to have our kids back in school. So thank you for that. I will note that tonight's meeting, we will adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of two employees with the district who had passed here recently. We have a nutrition services worker, Ms. Denise Thompson, and a Colton High School teacher, Carla Garcia, passed. And so when we adjourn at the end of the meeting, we will adjourn in their memory. But for now, I'd like to ask just for observe a brief moment of silence in honor of their memory. So we'll just take a few seconds, please. Thank you for that. At this time, we will adjourn the open session into our closed session, and then we'll return after with any reportable action. So we are adjourned to closed session.
Thank you, John and Jessica. We appreciate your help.
Okay, so are we on?
Yeah, you're good to go. Thank you very
We're
much.
good to go? Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
You have a good night.